What are you doing, Diggletdreamers? You got Mathras back with week 4 of the Vitality Draft League. This is versus Jose, aka Alolan Jose, coach of the Seattle Mareanies. They were the Season 1 champions of the Vitality Draft League. This is Season 3 though, so things are different. I am coach of the Boston Buizels, as you can see on this side of the replay. Jose's got a very, very cool team. His biggest threat probably is the Zero Aura. That thing hitting 143 base speed is just something that is incredibly tough to prepare for. I thought a long time about bringing Sand Rush Dracovish, but I realized that even if I brought Jolly Sand Rush, I think he could be cheeky and bring Scarfed Zero Aura and it would outspeed my Dracovish even in the sand. Which I was just like, you know what? I'm not having any of that. I'm bringing Strong Jaw. So I did. His Adamant Strong Jaw, banded, of course. Then I've got Roserade here. After Roserade's stellar performance from last week, I thought it would be great to bring here, and I think it is too, because just look at this team. Like, Registeel obviously switches in, but it takes out things like, what's this thing? Tangela with a Sludge Bomb. It hits the Diancie pretty hard with grass moves, as well as not taking that much from fairy moves. It can hit the Gliscor pretty hard if it's not very specially bulky. Dragalge, of course, is switching, but it also hits the Zero Aura pretty hard, as well as not taking much from electric moves. So, of course, I brought spikes on this as well, which means I can spike up on the Registeel or the Dragalge if that's going to come in. But I didn't bring Scarf this time. I just brought Black Sludge because I felt like it's Roserade's bulk is a little bit more useful to me in this one, going up against things like Tangela, Gliscor, Zero Aura, and Diancie. Because Scarf maybe would have been nice, but locking myself into a move versus this team I don't think is great, because several moves will kind of force out certain things, and I don't want to give that opportunity. Anyway. Tyranitar is also here, partly to bluff the Sand Rush Dracovish, but also just because it's super good. I think I'm running, I forget what I'm running, but it's got a lot of moves. It's got Heavy Slam for this, it's got Earthquake for this, and Crunch, and I think I did pack Ice Beam as well for the Gliscor. Then I've got Zapdos as well, more of a bulky thing. It can kind of take on Zero Aura a little bit. It's got Hurricane for things like Tangela. Did I bring Weather Ball? I might have also brought Weather Ball. I don't know. I might have gotten crazy a little bit, but Thwackey is also making the first appearance in this season so far. It's actually pretty good versus his team, I think. I'm running Swords Dance, U-Turn, Knockoff, Grassy Glide. I can knock off the switch-ins like Tangela and Dragalge, and then U-turn on things like Registeel, but also U-turn on like Tangela and hit it pretty hard. And then Grassy Glide actually hits Diancie very hard. It has a chance to 2-hit KO Zero Aura, and with the Swords Dance up, I'm actually 2-hit KOing Gliscor as well. So I was like, Thwackey looks pretty good here, and obviously he's got more Pokemon on his team, but I was kind of planning around a lot of these Pokemon specifically. I've also got Cobalion here. I just felt like the Stealth Rock Volt Switch Cobalion was a pretty good one to bring here. It obviously is pretty walled by Gliscor, but the opportunity to just get the Stealth Rock up and then maybe Volt Switch out on things like Registeel or something would be pretty nice. I also brought Shukaberry on this thing because that's the only way that Diancie knocks it out from full is with an Earth Power. So if it's like a 1v1 versus the Diancie, I can knock it out with an Iron Head. I do tank a Moonblast just naturally because, Steel typing, it neutralizes the weakness. I can also get a lot of damage off on things like Zero Aura, Registeel, and other things if need be. So it wasn't my favorite thing to bring, but it felt like a solid Stealth Rocker for this matchup. So yeah, as you can see, Jose had decided to bring Dragalge, Gliscor, Tangela, Registeel, Zero Aura, Diancie, which is Mega Diancie. So going into this, I was like, okay, if I play my Thwackey right, it can look pretty good versus his team. I can knock off that Tangela on the switch, I could U-turn on it, stuff like that. Dracovish also looks very good here because he doesn't have a water immunity. He has the 3 not fully evolved. I remember this now. It was Tangela, Clefairy, and Palpitoad were the 3 that he had, and I was like, I wonder if he'll bring all 3 of those versus me, but only ended up bringing 1. I thought he might bring the Palpitoad for the water immunity, the Clefairy for the dragon immunity, and so that, like, between the few of them, the 2 of them, they could switch into Dracovish all over the place. But that's why I brought Strongjaw, because things like Crunch or Psychic Fangs are able to hit those a lot harder than if I was Sandrush. So anyway, only brought Tangela, which is probably a good compromise of the 2 pulled together. It can tank an Outrage and a Vicious Rend. But yeah, why don't I just get into it? So I decided to lead with Cobalion as he leads Zeraora. I just want to get my Stealth Rock up turn 1 as he just goes for the Volt Switch there into the Gliscor. I had a feeling that Gliscor was coming out one way or another, so I decided to just get the Stealth Rock up. I do. He gets his Toxic Orb activated, which is, you know, that's what Gliscors do. I decided to go into Zapdos as he just throws out a Toxic, which pretty good play considering I have my Steel type in. I could have also gone into like Roserade or something, but yeah, pretty good play. I don't like my Zapdos being poisoned, but nothing I can do about it now. I am in a good spot though because Gliscor's not going to enjoy tanking a Hurricane. He does have a few pretty good switch-ins. Like if he wants to predict the Volt Switch, he could go Zeraora or something, but reveals there that his Gliscor is actually fast and is able to U-turn on my Zapdos. So that is very good information to know. That means it's definitely going to be faster than things like Dracovish, Roserade, Tyranitar, and everything on my team. So yeah, probably should have brought a Scarfer looking in hindsight. Anyway, in comes a Diancie. The hazards are putting in the work already. Hurricane does a little bit more, and I get a Lucky Confusion, which I'm pretty happy about. Obviously, I don't like hexing my friends, but I'm definitely going to take advantage of that in a league situation. And here I decided to just go right for the Thunderbolt as he pulls a switch into Registeel, which I don't mind a little damage on. Obviously very bulky though, only doing 20% with that Thunderbolt. And here I decided, well, I reveal that I am U-turn. I didn't want to be Volt Switch because I know that Zeraora has Volt Absorb, and I don't want to be walled by that thing basically. So I U-turn there on the Registeel. Not exactly when I wanted to reveal that move, but so be it. And I go into my Roserade as he just gets his Stealth Rock up. And I'm like, okay, I can't really hit this thing, but I can get spikes up, so I do. I get 1 spike up, and it's happening again. Hold on. For some reason, in some replays, the spike doesn't stay, and it's weird, and I want to make it stay. So yeah, he gets his Stealth Rock up, I get my spike up. So I got Stealth Rock and spikes, which are going to be putting a lot of work in versus his team. He Seismic tosses there, revealing that I am Black Sludge, and I don't like that. I want to keep my stuff a mystery. So I decided to go back into Zapdos as he actually pulls a double into Zeraora, revealing that he is Boots Zeraora, which is pretty interesting. Yeah, not in a good position here because I know I tank a good amount. I take a lot from Plasma Fists, but I think I can take 1 at least and maybe get some damage off on the Zeraora. And I think here I had Heat Wave. No, I had Roost. Yeah, I wish I had Heat Wave, but I have Roost. And yeah, so I decided to just go for the U-turn. I know Hurricane's not going to do much, and I have a chance to miss as well. So I just U-turn. I keep my Zapdos as like a sack for later or something. And I decided to get in Thwackey. Because at this point, I'm thinking 2 Grassy Glides is going to knock this thing out, and what does it have to hit me? But at the same time, I'm also looking at the rest of his team. He's got a Tangela at full health. He's got a Dragalge. He's got Gliscor. He's got Registeel. So I doubt he's going to leave his Zeraora in versus this thing right now. So I decided to click knockoff because I want to get rid of this thing's Eviolite, making it much less of a threat. Decides to go Dragalge instead though, probably a solid play to start off just to see what I want to do. Actually do a good 32% there with that knockoff, plus the hazard damage, he's already at 50%. And of course I can outspeed there and just U-turn out freely. I go into my Tyranitar, and he makes a very good prediction there. On this turn, he goes for the Focus Blast, but look at how much I took from that. I ate that up. Only taking 35% from a Focus Blast. That's Tyranitar for you, baby. Goes for another one. Still, tanking it. It's obviously a pretty fast Dragalge. And then I'm, of course, able to knock out that Dragalge with a Crunch. Obviously, that thing didn't really want to switch out because I could Pursuit it, and it had Stealth Rock and Spike to take damage from. But, of course, Zeraora comes in and gets a kill. Knocks out my Tyranitar. Not much I can do there. But that was the main reason I had Tyranitar, was to handle something like a Dragalge if you decided to bring it. So Grassy Terrain ends, but that means I get to bring Thwackey back in as he decides to bring Gliscor in this time, as I just decide to U-turn. I had a feeling that since I had shown the knockoff, he's not going to immediately go into his Eviolite user yet. But what this does do is give me a free switch into Dracovish. And this is exactly the kind of situation I was thinking. Even if he's fast Gliscor, my Dracovish is going to be able to basically click a button here. Especially since he probably thinks that I'm Sand Rush at this point. Even though I am buffeted by the Sandstorm, I am getting HP back as well from the Grassy Terrain. So if maybe you missed that, I don't know. But yeah, the Grassy Terrain is what I was trying to say. Prevents Earthquake from doing any real damage to me, which is very nice. So here I decided to just go for it, go for the Vicious Rent. The Tangela is going to obviously be able to take the hit pretty well, but it does have to come in on Stealth Rock and Spike, so it's actually going to make it into a... No, it's not. It'll do a lot of damage, but it won't be a 2 KO, I don't think. So Gliscor does switch out here into the Tangela. So I think at that point, because since this definitely was faster than me, it was faster than my Zapdos, which would definitely be faster than any type of Dracovish outside of the Sandstorm. So he had to think that I was Sand Rush there, which, I'm impressed with myself for pulling off that bluff. So Tangela comes in, takes the Spikes, takes the Stealth Rock, and then Vicious Rent there, 41%. So the key here, I think that I realized, after the fact, the sand ends, he realizes that that's obviously strong jaw damage, what HP was he at? So it comes in on that. I hit there for 41. He's at 35. The Grassy Terrain brings him back to 41. Yeah. So I think it was just barely out of range of a 2-hit KO there. And obviously rolls are a factor, but I think even with the highest roll, I don't think a 2-hit KO, just because 41 I think was the highest roll, and he's at 41.5 or something like that. So unfortunately it's unable to get the 2-hit KO, and is able to go for the knockoff there and get rid of my Choice Band, which is very upsetting. Dracovish is most comfortable when he has his Choice Band, and he does not like it when he loses his Choice Band. But it's not great. It's not that bad though either, because I don't really need a Choice Band to knock out the rest of his team. Tangle is really the only thing that I needed it for. And it didn't even end up really working out that well for me. But Choice Band or no, this Tangela is not going to be taking the hit at 6%. It does still have Regenerator though, so of course the switch is probably incoming. And there it is. Registeel comes out, takes a little hazard damage as I just continue to go for the Vicious Rend, and down goes the Registeel. So, now it's interesting. Diancie can definitely come in and threaten me out, and I don't have much in the terms of switch-ins to it. So, that's very good for my opponent. Of course, then I get to bring in Thwackey, which deals with Diancie every day of the week, especially at the range it's at, plus the Stealth Rock and Spike it's going to have to take on switching. Still the biggest threat, of course, is the Zeraora, especially since it's got boots. It's not going to be taking any of this damage. and I would love it to take that damage, because the more damage it takes, the closer it is to being in range of a Grassy Glide. The Tangela is obviously got Regenerator back, but it's gonna be still taking hazard damage, so I am keeping it pretty low. Gliscor, of course, is still there, but I can always just Vicious Rend that thing. Plus, Thwackey and Roserade are actually looking better by the minute, just because they can hit. They basically have no switching, which is pretty cool. Anyway, so of course in comes the Diancie. I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. Diancie takes a lot of damage. I decided to just sack Zapdos. Zapdos is not really doing much for me at this point. Like, it's not, maybe I could switch in on the Tangela and try to roost up or something, but I am still toxic poison, so there's not much going on there. Grassy Terrain ends, but I bring it back up as Thwackey comes back in, and there's no stopping me from clicking Grassy Glide, really. Tangela comes in, but it's taking a lot of damage from hazards. Grassy Glide's still not able to do a KO, unfortunately, but what I can do here is just click U-turn. It should probably knock this thing out, and of course covers the switch as well, which it does. Decide to switch out, get that Regenerator back. So a U-turn on the Gliscor there, and of course, you know, he's back. He's back. There's no stopping him now. U-turns there, shows that he's faster. Gets a good amount of chip there as Tangela comes back in, and with the hazard damage at the range of this thing is at, it's not gonna stay. It's not gonna stick around. So down goes the Tangela. But once again, this sets up the Diancie to come back in. Again, taking more hazard damage at a very low amount of HP. Not that I need it anymore. All I need is a sack, and Cobalion was looking pretty sackable to me. Maybe a tank a hit or something, but no, there's no way that I was going to tank. I need 2 hits for this with this thing. So down goes my Cobalion, unfortunately. But there goes the Grassy Terrain. So of course, you know, I'm going to set it right back up with my Thwackey. And here I was really thinking about going for Swords Dance, because I think Swords Dance would have actually put me in a very good spot to just click Grassy Glide versus the rest of the team. But I also thought, like, why would he switch out his Diancie at this point? Why would he take that risk? So I decided to just knock out the Diancie with the Grassy Glide. Ended up being the right play, because a Moonblast would have been pretty detrimental there. Would have done a heck of a lot of damage if not knocked me out. So in comes the Gliscor. I decided to just, oh yeah, this was actually a really big turn. Let me go back a second. So knock out the Diancie there, pretty big. And in comes the Gliscor. So here, I was like, I could like Swords Dance and just try to Grassy Glide all the way through, but I have a feeling that this thing is going to Toxic me. And it could also have like some other move or something. So I was like, I think I could probably afford to switch into Dracovish, because obviously Earthquake's not going to do that much. If it goes for Toxic, that's okay too, because then, you know, I may be Toxic, but I can then just click a button and get a kill. And I think I should have gone Roserade here, because I would have dodged the Toxic. Earthquake would not have done much, especially with the Grassy Terrain. And then I basically just get to click a grass type move. Like, I have Leaf Storm. And I think I just should have come in and clicked Leaf Storm. Would have knocked out the Gliscor with the Grassy Terrain boost. Obviously, Zeraora would not be able to come in on that either. And even if the Zeraora had a move to hit my Roserade, then that would keep my Dracovish healthy to a point where I think it would have maybe been able to take 1 Plasma Fists at the range that I kept it at. But I did not make that play. I ended up making the very aggressive play of going right into Dracovish, and unfortunately getting Toxicked, which is not great, because I was in the moment I was like, fine, like whatever, I'm just gonna click it. I think I was like, okay, my 2 grass types should be able to take on the Zeraora, no problem. Plus, I force it to attack me rather than going for like a bulk up or something, because my Dracovish is just so threatening. However, because of the Toxic damage, because of the Stealth Rock damage, I think the mistake I made here was that Dracovish is taking too much damage from the poison, to the point where Zero Aura is going to be able to knock it out with a Plasma Fist. Especially because the Gliscor does outspeed me and is able to get off an Earthquake before I'm able to knock it out. If I'm getting a little ahead of myself. So yeah, the Earthquake damage plus the Toxic damage is a little bit too much damage. And I'm able to knock out the Gliscor, of course. But then Zero Aura comes out. And so at this point, I'm like, okay, yeah, Zero Aura knocks me out. There's not much I can do about that. But I have my 2 grass types, which should be able to take on this thing. It doesn't get Ice Punch. I know that for a fact. And he's already shown Close Combat, Plasma Fist, and Volt Switch, which are all moves that my grass types can take with ease. So in comes the Zero Aura. Doesn't take boots. It doesn't take hazards damage, of course. Knocks out my Dracovish. Not much I can do about that. And unfortunately, he's getting grassy terrain back as well, which is, pretty unfortunate for me. So I realize that based on the turns here, I have 1 turn left of grassy terrain. So I'm gonna go Roserade. I have to go Roserade because if I go Thwackey, then I only have the 1 turn of grassy glides priority. So I need to go Roserade, let the grassy terrain go down, and then bring Thwackey back in to get it back up again. So I have my maximum amount of grassy glide priority turns. And then, so I'm like, okay, I can take a hit. Let me just get some damage. He has Blaze Kick. I completely forgot that Zero Aura gets Blaze Kick, and that basically is, I was like, okay, that's bad, but I still have my Thwackey. I still have my Grassy Glide, which should be able to 2-hit KO this thing. It doesn't. So I found out after the battle that I even take a Blaze Kick, which is crazy. So I'm able to get off my 2 Grassy Glides, but it's not enough. And I find out later that Jose actually forewent some speed to put a little bulk into his Zero Aura, like just enough to be able to tank 2 Grassy Glides from my Thwackey, which is pretty huge. Yeah, like. So unfortunately, the Boston Buizels' undefeated streak ends. But I mean, talk about a good battle. Like down to 10%. If I was gonna end the streak to anyone, Jose is a pretty good contender. Obviously, there's a lot of things I could have done differently, as I've thought about. But I think in general, I think we both played really well. He just had the tech with the Blaze Kick and the bulk that was able to power through my grass types. And I think probably my biggest thing was that I just forgot about this thing getting Blaze Kick. I was like, what does this thing have to hit grass types? I can't think of anything. And I just completely forgot about Blaze Kick, and that ended up being pretty huge, because if I had remembered that, then I definitely probably should have kept Dracovish around at a healthier amount of HP, and just gone into Roserade on the Gliscor and all that stuff. But yeah, GG to Jose. We have the Boston Buizels. When I say we, I mean the Boston Buizels we have a bye week for week 5. So no battles. And then it'll continue in the week after that. And then there's only, so this is 4, so there's only 6 more battles until the playoffs. So as long as I get, more wins than losses, then I should be able to make it to the playoffs and see if I can have my rematch with Jose and maybe go for the championship. Yeah, all just to prove that Dracovish is crazy and broken. So I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. Don't forget to join the Diggletdreams Discord in the description down below. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. Keep dreaming. Goodbye.